Now, I was going to open this video with a Christmas jingle and carol to serenade all of you, but I figured I'd save the ear-screeching atrocities for the stream. But anyways, welcome everyone. Let's talk about the Battlefield Winter Offensive update coming out tomorrow, December 9th. We've got a lot to talk about, so if you guys haven't already, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And down below, there'll be timestamps where you guys can zip around, because there's going to be rants, there's going to be a lot of talking in this video, because there's a lot to discuss. This update seems small, but there's actually so much that they're covering in this. First, let's actually talk about the Winter Offensive itself. The new time-limited Ice Lock Empire State, which is a winter themed of the Empire State map, will be here, and it'll be introducing a new multiplayer for Domination, Conquest, and Gauntlet. Each of those game modes will be receiving the limited time freeze mechanic, which seems to be this stay in a heated area, and it will allow you to warm up, sort of like a survival style added into Battlefield, which sounds like fun. I like the last limited time game mode with Sabotage. I thought that was really fun, but it did suffice very well as a limited time. I didn't want to play it indefinitely because it could get boring, but also I think it did its job perfectly. It was there for a limited time. I had the exact amount of fun it was designed for, and it moved on. I do have a little bit of worry with this new game mode, depending on how much gridlock it introduced and how much movement it limits you on across the maps, fighting and trying to hide for all these little hot points. So we'll have to see how it plays, but I actually am really excited for it. We'll also be receiving a limited time battle pass, which will have 11 tiers, just like the California Resistance, and we'll also be seeing the ice climbing axe, a little ice pickaxe as a new melee weapon, which will be fun. So hope to guys see you out there, and let me know what you guys are thinking and how excited you are to try out this new game mode. Alright, so Battlefield has been working on a lot of issues, and one of their biggest weak points right now has been the audio. The audio has been needing a huge amount of improvements. We've been having performance and memory issues that have pretty much been causing sounds to drop out completely, for footsteps to vehicle audios, which is insane. Imagine a silent tank pulling up beside you. Oh wait, that was my entire Battle Royale experience. Now, as many of you know, I don't really enjoy BRs all too much, but I did try the Battlefield one. And out of maybe the 10 I've played so far, about 6 of them ended with a tank not having audio, which is very frustrating, but that's okay. Hopefully this will be fixed and addressed, because I like hearing stuff. I think that's fair. In a shooter game, it might be important to know where the tank is, but hey, that's just me. So the link to these patch notes will be all down in the description, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm almost encouraging you guys to read all of them. I will pop up the most important things that I'm talking about, but there are so many quality of life bug changes in here that it looks like an ancient scroll that I'm just reading. So please, by all means, go read this review. There's so much, because there's a lot of stress points I want to talk about in this video, but to highlight a couple, vehicles are going to be getting a nice quality of life change, interaction with how their secondary HMGs hit, and just kind of like there's some like fluidity bugs, a lot of fixing. Weapons are the big one here. Something to note that we're getting adjustments to attachments. They were having issues with the way that they were properly supposed to interact, and also we're finally receiving the long-awaited, hey, I just ADS but my bullets aren't going straight bug. That's going away, which is really nice. We needed that. I don't understand, sometimes you're going to get in situations where you have to ADS quickly. My gun should still not be having weird hip fire inaccuracies with doing that. I don't understand. I said it in the last video, and I'll say it again, I don't need my guns doing the math. I will do the math for my guns. Thank you, Battlefield. Now, on top of other attachments for weapons having cost changes and just overall recoil changes for certain assault rifles and carbines, which is really nice to see, the gadgets are also receiving a nice look over. Assault Ladder itself did not allow smooth traversal by increasing the maximum ramp length, so the ramp will be changed, which is nice. Just overall better feeling and making gadgets more useful allows people to diversify what they're playing, because right now it's not really Battlefield, it's, you know, support and engineer field. Recon, of course, is always going to be fun because people love sniper rifle, but the assault class is underwater. It's sinking. It needs help desperately. So that's nice to see that they're fixing a lot of this, but there's also so many other fixes there. But we have so much to talk about, but to highlight a lot of things, the portable mortar is receiving an overlook where there's like incorrect shells. The supply pouch for the supports apparently was having like issues with instant health deployment and then like ammo counting issues. So I'm going to go ahead and just, like I said, skim over that, but there's more important stuff here because we're getting practically a whole rework to the breakthrough map. But first, we got to talk about Conquest and Escalation. I realize I said breakthrough map, I meant breakthrough game mode, but Conquest and Escalation, especially on Manhattan Bridge, is having their ceiling redone, to say the least. Rooftop positions will now no longer allow objectives to be captured. I know, like on E on Escalation, you could like get there via helicopter and you could cap from the roof in certain spots, so that's nice that it's fixed. They've extended the out of bounds on Empire State and Manhattan and Saints Quarter, so just no more rat people standing up on roofs the entire time. Let's actually get into the fight and not just have... Listen, guys, stop camping. I don't know how to tell you this. Just stop camping, man. It's killing Battlefield. But for all my Rush players out there, we'll be receiving better MCOM placements on Liberation Peak and Manhattan Bridge specifically. Updated the spawning behavior for battle pickups. I know sometimes they would like spawn randomly outside the map. That was kind of crazy. But yeah, overall, I'm really excited for all of these. Just generally quality of life stuff that was needed to trim the fat on a lot of the stuff. But right now, it's time to get into Breakthrough, because following the feedback since launch, several Breakthrough layouts have been updated to address attacker and defender win-loss imbalance and improve overall flow. So there's a lot of good to this. There's also a lot of bad, which will kind of probably lead into a rant. So I want to cover everything first, and then I'll probably get my yap on. All right, Manhattan Bridge. So they'll be removing the defender vehicles from Sector 2 and 3. I don't think defenders even had a vehicle in Sector 1. And they'll be adding an additional attack IFV in Sector 3. Now, there are... before I continue on, these patch notes are a little inconsistent with the way that they're written. Some have more detail than others, and it's a little confusing to remember and track what's currently out there. So I will do my best to fill in the blanks as going on. Now, Mirak Valley needed a big overhauling redesign on Breakthrough because that was pretty rough. Now, defenders will lose defender vehicles in all sectors, which... that there really is going to get me into the rant later on, but I will save that for later. Adjusted attacker vehicle counts, so they'll be having reduced IFVs from 2 to 1 and increase the tanks from 1 to 2 in Sector 1. So now there'll be 3 vehicles. So the thing here is that I like that they're adjusting IFVs, because IFVs in these infantry-focused game modes I actually find are a lot stronger than tanks because, well, when you get to spam about 6 to 12 explosive rounds, you can do a lot more damage than a 1 tank shell every couple seconds. Tanks themselves do have a high damage output, but you'll see a lot of times tanks get like high kill counts, but the thing is that they're shooting 1 shell at a time. So sorry, I just bit my tongue. So sure, you'll see a tank that might be like 90 and 0 at the end, but the rate that 90 and 0 happened didn't actually have an impact on the game because of the pacing of it, the DPS, the damage per second. So with that being said, they're also still then adding an IFV to Sector 2 and to Sector 3, and captured volumes across all sectors will make it easier for attackers. Now, what they say when they increase volume is when you look on your minimap and you see that outlined area of, you know, like A, B, C, D, or whatever, that means it'll be bigger, and they'll probably change the boundary lines so that there's more to capture, so defenders can't just hunker in the entire time. But again, I'll get on that rant later because there's just a lot to say and think about that. New Shake and Bake City, or New Sobek City. They'll be adding defender vehicles, actually. 1 tank and 1 IFV for Sector 2, and they'll be adding 1 attacker IFV and removing the defender tank and light transport for Sector 3. This here is very interesting. I kind of like what they're doing there. I see what they're doing there because New Sobek City, before the updates to the whole, like, you know, drone glitch and getting out of bounds really easily on Breakthrough, was super duper duper defender sided. But now you get rid of all the BS, and when you look at that, it's actually a really fun attacking map. And I like that they're actually seeing that and addressing that the defenders actually do need some love, because there are a lot of times on Breakthrough it is defender sided, but that's more of a community issue, which I will, again, talk about soon. I'm literally just teasing us at this point because there is... oh, the yap's going to be crazy. But anyways, Operation Firestorm, they're adjusted the defender armor, and they've added and removed tank spawns for Sector 2. I don't know why it's worded like that. Adjusted defender armor. Added and removed tank spawns. What? So did we lose a tank? Did we gain a tank? So was someone, are they just writing down their thought process? Like, yeah, we added one, then we said, nah, never mind, it's gone. So do we have a tank or not on Sector 2? I'm confused. Someone let me know. Sector 3 will be receiving 2 attacker tanks, 1 attacker IFV, and a partridge in a pear tree. Oh, never mind. The defenders are also losing their tank. Wow, that is... Wow. Damn. Okay. Operation Firestorm was... interesting. That's interesting. I have a lot to say on that one. Liberation Peak, remove the defender tank from Sector 3. Sector 5 will be receiving added 2 attacker IFVs and removing the random 3 light jeeps. That's cool. I think Sector 5 needed that, especially because it's an uphill battle. Liberation Peak could very easily be an absolute stomp, and then you get to the defense up on the hill, the literal peak part, and you can't do anything because you're just running at people up a hill. So yeah, adding 2 IFVs is going to be really important for that. It will actually make it very attacker dominated personally, but we'll see how that goes. Siege of Cairo, we're receiving an attacker tank in Sector 1 and 3. Notice how they just don't write it consistently. Like this, there's so much weird inconsistencies in this patch. And then Empire State, they'll be updating the volumes in Sector 1 for B. So we'll be seeing a big flag on Empire State, which will be nice. So B was kind of tight. And then also for Sector 2, A and B will get a lot bigger. Oh boy. Okay. I got to get ready for my little yap. If you guys are going to tune out now because you've read all your patch notes, I appreciate and everything else. But if you haven't, I really would like to talk about right now these breakthrough changes, because I've been seeing a lot on Twitter and a lot in the community about their thoughts on this stuff. And so this is going to be a big free ball. So again, if you guys have already clicked out or don't really want to stick around for the rant, by all means, I invite you, because I might be a little brutally honest with my opinions and thoughts on just Battlefield, because it's actually not towards the devs, it's more towards the community and the players that play it. So these breakthrough changes, I feel, although I agree with adding more for the attackers, because the idea of rush and breakthrough is that the defenders have the advantage of having infinite. They have infinite resupply, they have infinite time, they just have to make sure you don't get the flag or the MCOM. Now, specifically talking more about breakthrough, the defenders always started getting tanks and, you know, more armored assistance and vehicles near the end, because if the attackers were going too quickly, well, maybe the defenders needed more help, which made sense. Seeing a lot of changes where just, ta-da, there's no more nothing anymore is crazy, because especially on Mirak Valley, I want to point out specifically, removing all defender vehicles, period, is insane. Because now this will transition into my community rant, because the problem is that the Battlefield community is not like good, to say it bluntly. A lot of the players and people that I see playing Battlefield, whether they're actually playing engineer to take out a tank, whether they're actually playing support, whether they're actually playing recon or assault, they are not skilled players. They are genuinely a very casual, easy to interact, and probably have a field day on if you can go ahead and have any sense of aim. You will see it all over Twitter. You will see battle dads everywhere being like, look at you, you're a cheater, this and that. And realistically, it's just someone who knows how to aim. Something I've always told my friends whenever they've gone to competitive games. Here's an example. My sister's friends, they play Marvel Rivals. Random ass of bringing that game up, I know. But they're always like, oh, I'm not good at the game. It's not that you're not good at the game. You just haven't found your sensitivity. That's kind of it for video games. That's all it really takes. You don't need a whole lot. And so you now have a constant player base that is not skilled enough in moving and shooting. So I have literally seen people unable to move quickly out of cover to shoot a tank and then reposition back behind cover. They will just stand out in the open and get shot. They don't have the ability to aim correctly, so they can't line up their RPGs. They can't line up a small or whatever it is to hit people. Majority of these people suffer from the idea of that they're just also campers too. Like, a lot of this stuff, well, I agree attackers needed, right? I agree attackers needed a couple more IFVs and a couple more tanks, and to make it feel a lot more, the flow to be better. because attackers need to have that vehicle advantage so they can actually get in places. Completely agree with that. The problem is now is that I feel like a lot of these designs were that attackers, like, they lost because they were camping. They didn't move. Like, get a kill. A lot of times these guys cannot interact with gunfight and cannot win a gunfight because they refuse to move, and that's it. You know what I mean? I don't think that nursing them and giving them more is going to make an experience that's going to be better. What's going to happen now is that I feel that we're going to either get one of two things. Now, Breakthrough is going to turn into Battlefield's vehicle simulator, where all these tanks are camping again. They're not moving. They're just slinging shells, and these guys are getting dopamine rushes by going, look at this. I have 80 kills in a tank. Great, but you're on top of a hill, and the amount that you're getting a kill for, the last wave of people are responding. Your teammates still aren't moving up. There's no teamwork. There's no effort. And you know what? That's not on the devs. That's not on the devs to fix. That's on us. That's on a player to do something. But I just feel that there's this overwhelming, like, stagnation of Battlefield players where they don't do anything anymore. They don't move. They don't, like, it feels like, yeah, they got old. And I get people like, I play Battlefield for the cinematics and stuff, but some of these maps don't deliver cinematics anymore. Like, you just see big explosions, but it's boring. You know, I don't see the fun in not moving and not playing the game. You are trying to escape the realities of war. This is not like a milsim game. This isn't like a I'm traumatized. You're just supposed to boot up a sandbox shooter and go have some fun. So I think it's actually more in the community to play better and actually do something. Because, like, you're booting up a game, you know, hey, I'm loading into Team Deathmatch, for example. Well, the objective of the game is to go kill the enemy team to win. Cool. I'm going to play, you know, Escalation. I'm going to play Breakthrough. I'm going to play Conquest. I have to kill the enemy to capture the flag to win. I get it. Like, I'm not saying be super competitive, but if the game mode is, if you're booting up the game and playing the game mode, don't you want to, like, win? You know, I get winning is not everything, but shouldn't you at least go play the game? Shouldn't you interact with the game to make yourselves feel better and to get something out of it? I just feel that a lot of these changes that we see on these maps are just cool. We'll just give these guys an undominating force of tanks to deal with. So now the defenders, not only I have to deal with now someone who can't play properly and maybe not be the best shot in the world, but now I'm requiring people that already maybe wouldn't be the best gamers in the world to do more, and in hopes they get better. I just feel like it's kind of some weird thing where it's not really gelling. But also I can't blame the devs for making changes like this again, because it's not, they can't fix the guy behind the mouse or the guy behind the controller. They can only try to give more. So I will see how these adjustments and fixes go. I look forward to when the netcode changes fully come out and how the gunplay feels. I would also just really like some more oomph in these maps. Moving alongside now my tangent on the community and how they play the game, I would really like to see better maps. I think Battlefield 6 genuinely has some of the best gunplay I ever enjoyed, even with the bugs. Guns felt good. They felt like they stayed in their lane, and when you played to their strengths, you were severely rewarded. I got, like, you would see people like, yeah, bro, grab the M4. I'm going crazy. And they only use the M4. Dude, I grabbed, like, the M60, the M240. I've been enjoying the machine guns, everything. Every gun feels like it understands its strength, which is great, but it's the maps. I feel the maps are really lifeless. Not only did you used to have something that meant something to complete a secondary objective on a map that maybe wasn't told, like establish a flank or get this foothold so the enemies can't leave their spawn, so it's easy for your teammates to move in, and you actually play the map and held the aggression like you needed to. Not only do I feel like that's so telegraphed in these maps, like, oh, hey, example, Empire State. They walk through the back alleys, right? Okay, well, it's like they can only come from these three areas, and it's very defined on where they're coming through, and there's no flexibility. There's no nothing. You know what I mean? It genuinely feels like I'm rolling the dice for who has eyeballs and who doesn't. So, yeah, I just feel that the maps are very lackluster. I'm feeling that Battlefield 4, where it's like in the beginning, it's like, yeah, this plays great, and this isn't a bad, like, plain map, but they're all feeling a little bit too plain. There's nothing that stands out. There's no Shark Canals. There's no Damavon Peak. You know, there's no map that feels like, although this is great to play on, it doesn't feel Battlefield-like. A lot of these games, like, feel empty. The only one I've really been enjoying is Eastwood, which I'm glad to see that one of the DLC maps has been great so far. And Blackwell is just, like, it's giving Silk Road, kind of, from Battlefield 4. It was, like, big, open, and there's no cover, but hopefully maybe we'll see some more life. And I think I saw this on Twitter a couple times. Bring back some old maps. We've been seeing a lot of stuff in Portal be made where these maps look fantastic, but Portal's unplayable right now due to the fact that there's no permanent EXP. You have to get, like, approved to all this stuff that's going on. It's not promoted very well. I've been seeing these wonderful map designs on Twitter, but it's like, hey, Battlefield, let's get this going. Like, this guy just made you a map. It actually plays really well. The community thinks this is fire. This should be on the front page because people are talking about it because it's community. But instead, Portal is used for EXP farming and getting assignments done. And honestly, sometimes I get so bored of playing Battlefield because of the maps, I find myself going, you know what, I'll just go get an EXP farm just to go finish this challenge. I sometimes can't blame people because sometimes it's not fun to go grind these things out. It's not enjoyable. There needs to be a level of nuance and balance. Battlefield 6 is not a bad game. Battlefield 6 is suffering from Battlefield 4. Great gunplay, great ideologies, unfortunately, mid-maps. By the end of Battlefield 4, it was like, Siege of Shanghai was super enjoyable, but then, like, what? You can play Rogue Transmission, Goldman Railways. Oh, yeah, dude, I love the T-90 sniping me across the map with a tank shell. You know, Silk Road, again, T-90 sniping me across the map with a tank shell. You had, like, Dragon's Peak and everything else, and even myself, like, I like infantry fighting. I get that the maps in Battlefield are small, but they're lifeless. It's not about, like, sometimes maps at all. They need a little oomph, you know? Oh, sweet, I'm in, like Manhattan Bridge. You're fighting under the bridge. What's up with that, you know? Like, old Battlefield games, like, not everything had to make sense sometimes. Like, each individual thing could have been fought somewhere, and it does feel that the multiplayer maps suffered a lot from it. So I hope that maybe we finally get some love. We need some classic maps for sure. Even if they're just limited time, a rotation or something, we need better spotlight on Portal. We need better spotlight on community-driven maps because, honestly, the thing that stops a lot of people from enjoying Battlefield for long periods of time are the maps. And yeah, that's my tangent. That's my rant. I know that was a little bit blunt earlier with the whole community thing and how they play, but hey, sometimes games are just casual players, you know? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people that aren't good at video games. I'm just saying that sometimes we need to understand that, you know, and maybe sometimes, hey, look in the mirror and just be like, I can't always win if I didn't really do much myself, you know? So it'd be like that. I have bad games and I didn't attribute to myself losing. So if some people feel that they look at a scoreboard and they go like 3-24 or like 3-16, it's like, hey man, you booted up the game, you decided to play it. I'm not saying that everyone has to be super good at a game. What I'm saying is sometimes we don't need to make drastic changes when a lot of the community does look like that scoreboard stat line. So it's all right. Thank you guys for listening to my tangent and everything else. I know it was a little bit toxic, but I apologize for the toxicity. I was more trying to be a little bit blunt and honest and just kind of how I feel about making big changes off of things that are really outside developers' sort of control. Hope you guys do enjoy. Make sure you guys do subscribe if you haven't already. Oh my god, we're like 25 minutes. I'll see you guys out on the Winter Offensive. Streams will be linked down below here on YouTube and on Twitch, and I'll see you later. Peace.